Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. We're all the empty man. We just weren't born recent enough to go to the World's Fair. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
That intro means absolutely nothing if you haven't happened to watch those two movies that we were just talking about.
That's right. Yeah.
Off the microphone. So we spent the last 10 minutes just kind of doing the show. And then we're
Yeah.
like, oh, we should probably actually just start the show.
This is why we're never on time, because we just do the show before the show.
We're doing the show. You guys are the ones that aren't showing up on time. How about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
How about that? Hey, everybody. And since nobody's here yet, hey, you two. How are you guys doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah. It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Just living life.
Yeah.
Living life to itsist.
Yeah.
What's a part, like, there's a fullest, and I guess there's an emptiest. What's somewhere in between thereist?
The middleist?
Living life to the middlingest. How about that?
No, not the mean. Is it the mean? It's the median. I'm living life to the median.
To the median.
Est.
Ooh.
Median to the lower end of the max.
I would say mean, but mean something else. The meanest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like, I mean, that's still living in the middle, right? That's like
Yeah.
living life to the average.
Living life to the mid's a thing now, right? It's very mid.
Very mid.
Yeah.
So, we're losers and haven't been watching Disney Plus stuff, but Jesse is a winner and has been. So
Yes.
He'll have Disney Plus things to talk about. We've been watching odd horror movies and just spent 10 minutes talking about those horror movies off mic, so we'll probably talk about those.
Maybe. If you're good.
If you're good. We're up to date on House of Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
House of a Thousand Flying Corpse Daggers. Those are the go-to. Those are my go-to. Like, when I hear that, I'm just like House of a Thousand Corpses and House of Flying Daggers. But I do want
Game of a Thousand Dragon Corpses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be a thing.
Oh, yeah, man, oh man.
If it was, I'd go see it.
Give Rob Zombie the Game of Thrones franchise. Whoa. Whoa.
Right. That reminds me, that's something I haven't watched yet. The Munsters.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
gonna watch this, Jesse? The Munsters,
know.
the Rob
I mean-
Zombie take on it.
You know, the monsters are fun. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on board with them getting a second life here, you know?
I need to watch it. Matty D has watched it, and he messaged me, and he's like, just watched The Munsters, and it seems very much like a 60s reboot appropriate review could be done about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Let me watch
Yeah, yeah.
it. I'll let you know
I
when
bet-
I see it.
I bet Savannah did. I didn't ask her, but she named her dog Lily Munster, so I'm gonna guess that maybe she would have.
Oh, she loves Munsters. She was.
I
I
know.
remember. I believe she's who I heard Rob Zombie was doing a new Munsters movie from, because she was one of the people that was kind of upset about that fact.
Oh.
Right.
I just wish they wouldn't have released that trailer. Did you see that trailer that was released?
No.
For it? It was.
Oh, I saw, like, stills from the trailer, and the stills looked okay, but, like, I didn't watch the trailer, so.
The trailer was real bad. Like, it was just
Oh.
like. It was. I've heard tell of speculation that there's probably like a trailer that Rob Zombie cut together or something himself, but it definitely did not feel like a studio produced trailer.
Oh.
And some of the shots looked real cheap, which might be the aesthetic for a Munsters thing he's going for. It was like, you know, just a TV show from back in the day, but
Right.
I don't know. It seemed unfinished, and the trailer just felt off. So that is kind of pushed me away from watching it super soon. But don't judge a Rob Zombie reboot of a 1960s television series by its cheap trailer. That's the old saying. I've heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it is.
That's
You
what
might
they've
be-
been saying that in the entertainment industry for years.
You might be an empty man. Here's your sign. That's two redneck comedians. I was almost gonna say comedians.
Comedians.
You bet you didn't
Commie.
think you'd hear referenced on the Grawlix Nights show.
Wow, where's everybody at? Where'd they go? Why'd we hit live? We could just be having this conversation in private.
Yeah, yeah.
And right now, somebody in the future is going to tune in and be like, "Yeah, you could have." Click.
Yeah. Unfollow.
Yep. Well, first, we've also been watching some shows, so let's dive a little bit into what we've been watching. Jesse, do you want to kick off with you? You asked about She-Hulk. We unfortunately are still not watching She-Hulk.
I think it's fun. I'm interested in you guys' take on it, because it does play into, obviously it plays into the meta-ness of the whole thing. And sometimes that can be done really well, and sometimes that can be ham-fisted. And it does a little bit of that whole, the reason that I'm more in control of my Hulk mode is that I deal with microaggressions every day of my life. So I was already managing my rage, kind of thing. And so I could see where that would land or not land for certain people. But I think as a whole, the show is delightful. In the most recent episode, we finally got the Charlie Cox appearance that we were promised from the trailers that they released originally. And it was everything. It was
Okay.
so good. It was so perfect. They've got him in the red and yellow outfit, and he's appropriately Stan Lee quippy the whole time.
Really? Okay.
So it was yeah, but it still felt like him too. I mean, he was still violent. He's still that violent Daredevil that we've grown to enjoy, but he was just kind of lighter and appropriate to the mood of the show. And then at the end of the show, they went ahead and dropped the other shoe, because this is the second to last episode. The finale is already.
You're cutting out a bit. You got a cable or something is being a little wonky.
I don't know. Consistently wonky.
There we go. It's
Yeah?
back.
Okay. So that's probably that cable. So yeah, I don't know what you guys didn't hear. Basically, the other shoe dropped.
That's okay. We heard that.
Okay. And so the next episode is the season finale.
Okay.
And so they kind of set that up at the end of this. So
Cool, man.
yeah.
Cool. That sounded more condescending than I meant it to. I was thinking about Loki though. When's Loki coming back? They're probably still shooting it or something.
Probably. I saw an image, but I don't know if that's fan made or legit.
This month, for whatever reason, then my mind instantly jumped to Doctor Who. There's a lot of stuff coming out this month that I'm excited for. Wait, Doctor Who's not this month, is it? Or is
It should be, isn't it?
Okay.
Is
I
it
think
October?
is.
I thought it was.
October's just the best. It's the best month.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Chibnall did write it, so.
Yes, but that's one episode closer to the
Right.
return of the king.
Yeah, there you go.
To the true space Jesus, Russell T. Davies. Our luck is it's going to be bad still.
Yeah.
It's going to... something will have happened.
We'll get that episode and we'll be like, oh, that's right.
It's yeah, it's he just picked up from where he left off, which was all of realities. There's the stakes are just so high all the time. Ridiculously
The Master
high.
is everyone.
Oh,
That's
no.
the last show we saw from him.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was so bad. That was
Yeah.
not good. Yeah, man. The end of his run and Tennant's way out was not particularly great. There's a couple great scenes in it, but it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Over the top.
Master. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying everything. Yeah, you're saying everything is super epic all the time.
Right. And
Yeah.
it seemed like if the Master was, I don't know, he watched too much uh, Eighth Doctor Master going into Eric Roberts' Master, because his Master was always doing just the weirdest, strangest stuff. Like, he came back and he was just devouring people whole first because I don't know, being resurrected by a magic potion does that to you, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
What was that about?
Well, first of all, being resurrected by a magic potion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being very disappointed in that to begin with.
It's only slightly more realistic than being a goo snake.
Yeah, exactly. Or having weird cat eyes.
Right.
For no reason. Why did he have cat eyes at the end of the Eighth Doctor's run? What was that about?
It's weird though to use a magic potion in a sci-fi show.
Right,
Shouldn't it be like some scientific concoction? You know.
That's the thing. Like, all they need to do is just. I don't think they even called it a magic potion, but in not describing it as some scientific concoction, it ruins it. All you had to do, like a couple of words, would have made that like, okay, that's fine. Hand wave it in a science way, not in just a magic way.
Right.
Don't have everybody like.
All they had to do was
to the doctor or thinking about the doctor. To
yeah.
tell them,
I was just gonna say that's all they had to do is know about the doctor.
Yeah.
All she had to do is spend the last year of her life traveling everywhere and telling everyone about the doctor.
Now that you mention it, him doing the 60th anniversary special is a little worrisome because it feels like, because those were all like big, going for spectaculars, big like season finales or like his end of his run. That kind of seems like when he fumbles the hardest.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The reason that I've never been able to fly this thing correctly is because the console was made for however many people we have here.
Right.
Let's tow all these plants on back home.
It would be
We love
funny
that
if-
show.
We love it. It's so great. Especially the Russell T Davies era that we're complaining about actively right now. It's
Yeah,
so
there's
good.
cat nuns in space New York.
You know, no matter as good as the doctor gets, if you like just say plainly like what's elements or what the plot is,
Yeah.
as, to anyone who doesn't watch Doctor Who, you're just gonna sound like the dumbest person.
You're like, you
gonna sound
like
so
that show? What is
Not
wrong
always.
with you?
Sometimes you get to be like, there's gas mask little boy ghosts, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna watch it, and then
That's
you know,
that's true. Nanobot reconstructed gas mask zombie ghosts is pretty cool.
Right.
yeah, that's how Randy got started, man.
That's how everyone needs to get started. That's the first episode.
Stephen Moffat, man.
See, and that's amazing. Moffat, that's he's like the opposite of M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan can run the show, he can direct, he needs to stop writing his stuff. Moffat, let him write, don't let him be in control.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And
And
don't let
Chibnall-
Chibnall don't let him in the building anymore.
No.
Because even his written episodes weren't that, like, before he came on, wasn't. The Power of Three, and I understand, like, I feel like that episode probably had some production issues or something, but that was not a good episode. I know there's others, but...
Right. Well, what, the... My girlfriend is a Cyberman? Torchwood? You're like, yeah.
My girlfriend is a Cyberman. That's what the title should have been. So what were we talking about before all that? I have Doctor Who in a tab now. I don't even remember.
How
what we were
awesome
talking
October is.
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's all it was. And then we went Doctor Who nonstop for the last 10 minutes.
Well, even though we are thoroughly not excited for it, I'm excited for it.
Right.
So, even though we're gonna hate it,
Yeah.
But
I
that's-
try to step into every Chibnall episode with an open mind. Okay, I don't go into the show to Doctor Who ever expecting to hate it.
I sometimes do. It just depends.
I'm starting to.
We're gonna.
After they ruined the after they ruined the Sea Devils, I was like, yeah, no, I'm done.
I feel like that's not a bad thing for them or their show, though. that's not a bad thing on us though, because when the bar is so low, when our expectations are so low, all you have to do is just drag a foot over the top, and we'll be okay with it.
Yeah,
But
I was
somehow-
ready to mark out for the Sea Devils. Like, you had me at Sea Devils. I was like, man, I know they're dumb looking. Like, I'm ready. Let's do this, you know? This is a third Doctor character.
and yet,
And yeah,
and yet,
We need to get Disney Plus,
yeah.
or yeah, we need to get access to some Disney Plus.
well, they get that Spider-Man Sony money, right?
Yeah.
Because isn't Bad Wolf in conjunction with Sony?
Right.
At least that was the going discussion for a while.
Yeah, I don't know what became of that. That was something I was also kind of excited about. It's like, well, I mean, if the BBC's not in such like, if it doesn't have what I assume are restrictions from just being a BBC show and being limited by BBC budget and having, I'm assuming BBC mandates, whatever those are. Woke mandates, I'm guessing a lot of people complain, or some people complain about, but whatever beyond that, you know, it's I mean, if it was Sony that was like partnering up, they'd have their own mandates, so you know,
Right.
it's just par for the course. But
Granted, this is the same company that gave us, on one hand, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and on the other hand, gave us It's Morbin Time.
go
What's its
lean
Morbin
Spider-Man, even if it's just
Morbius.
pure fan wank. Doctor Who thrives on fan wank. Just
That's true.
go that way. We don't need Morbius. We don't need Morbin Time. Does that count though? That came. Oh, was that purely Sony, or was that one of? No,
That's
that
a
would've
purely
been-
Sony.
I,
Yeah.
I, for some reason, I was thinking that was one of the Fox movies, but that would have made it. That would have meant it went to Disney.
Right. No, that was purely because that's a Spider-Man character. So that's like the Venom movies.
Right.
Purely Sony.
I feel bad for Jared Leto. Why does everybody dislike him so much?
I think because he comes across pretentious,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
and he totally does. He comes across that way, like the stories of his method acting as the Joker, and then you watch the movie and you're like, dude, why?
Yeah.
Why go to the trouble? And also,
Right.
the Joker doesn't send rats to people. That's not funny.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Did the rat have a little hat on or something, or like
right. Yeah.
squirt him with a not that clown jokes are funny either, but that's
Right.
the Joker's MO.
We at least dress
Right.
the rat up like a clown.
Right.
Right.
That's like that
Would be
next
okay.
level is the Joker. It's like, why would you do that? Like,
Actually, if I
comedy.
if I saw a mouse with some clown shoes on, that would be fantastic, and I would love it.
Right.
I feel like that would definitely be more appropriate. Than
Some people
sending,
just
like,
want to watch the world burn.
Right.
So also in October, of course, Halloween. So, there
But doesn't
are-
Halloween end?
Halloween ends in a few nights? I think the 14th that comes out. I think the 14th specifically,
Oh.
roughly ballpark. 14th, yeah, that's the 14th. That comes out next week.
Is it going right to streaming again, or is it just
I
theater?
don't know. I kind of doubt it. I imagine it's just theater. I could be wrong, but I feel like the streaming services love affair with that type of thing has ended, maybe, which
Right.
is sad
Yeah.
for me because I don't want to have to go to the theater to see a new thing.
Right. I want to go to the theater to see old things.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
what I tend to do.
You know, that's so funny because yeah, I'm way more excited about seeing older movies that I've seen 100 times in a theater than I am about even
Right.
a new movie that I want to see. Like, I'll wait on that one. Return
Right.
of the Living Dead's at the drive-in. Let's go. You know,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Trick or Treat from 1985 is at Alamo Draft House. It is this month. I discovered that today. Let's go.
Holly's never been to the Alamo Draft House, so we're going on Sunday because they're doing The Craft.
Dude, they've
Yeah.
got a nice lineup this year.
Right.
I happened to, earlier today was looking.
Oh yeah, they're
Like,
they're
oh,
doing Beetlejuice and some other fun ones too. I was like, oh, that'd be fun.
Drive-in's gonna have Beetlejuice. this month.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they just did a Rocky Horror Picture Show that was huge, and they had like a ton of people show up for that.
At the drive-in? That would be
Drive-in?
incredible. I can't imagine that at a drive-in.
Because I follow the Quasar Drive-In in Nebraska on Facebook, and they had posts the day of or whatever, and apparently they also had a swap meet or something earlier that day. Super smart use of your, like, if you've got a drive-in, like, what else are you gonna do with it?
Right.
It's just a big lot, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Super.
Just so long as you don't have a bunch of garbage, that's perfect. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because the post the next day they were talking about all the people that came to the Rocky Horror thing. They had, like, I don't know, 200 cars come through there, which I don't think they're even equipped to hold that many cars.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but that's a lot of cars. It's a Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm assuming people still did the, like, traditional theater Rocky Horror thing, throwing stuff, rice and all that. And there's pictures of the drive-in the next morning, and they're like, of course we're always, except that there's going to be trash to pick up, but in the picture it was spotless. They're like,
what?
People were amazing. Like, there was so much, like, of course, and they even mentioned Rocky Horror Picture Show, and there's so much stuff being thrown around, and the next morning, like, people just picked everything up. It was
Wow.
because when you're a cool drive-in, people respect you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
As opposed to an uncool drive-in. I don't know what the point of that is, but
Man,
they
that
were making the point
that subpar drive-in.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, as a drive-in, you just have to exist, and you're way better than any other drive-in because there's not too many around.
Mm-hmm. They're cool anyway. I think
Yeah.
I like their social media posts because I follow them also.
Yeah.
And it's like local people that were just like, we need something fun around here, and I don't know that they make really much money off of it, actually. I think it's more a love project than a money-making project for them.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. And I know, like, a lot of the older movies, technically, Friday the 13th wasn't. I paid for 2 cars, and that was a little pricey. But a lot of their older movies are, like, classics for a cause or something, and the money, like, it's a donation thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
technically, it's free to get in. They just want you to donate to whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they've partnered with some people to do that, so...
Yeah.
But that aside, some things I'm excited about that are coming out this month. Chucky season 2 started yesterday. We watched the first episode. I really liked the first season of Chucky. Season 2 starting off. It's okay. It's starting off okay. Like, it's
Well, didn't season 1 start off okay as well, and then
Right.
it got dramatically better?
right.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever, they've got to establish kind of the new normal, right? It's a new season,
Yeah.
and
I don't like the way the dolls look right now.
the Chucky design specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they wanted to make his face more movable or something, but it just doesn't look.
Does it
it's
look
not
like
the
a
kind
blend of
face
the
I
new
like.
and the old? Like the reboot and the old?
Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
probably. I mean,
Yeah.
they look different in every single movie, but I don't
Yeah,
know. I just didn't care for this one.
It's not bad, and I wouldn't call it, like, off model, whereas, like, Curse of Chucky, like, it was distinctly a very different look until towards the end, but it does have an odd look that's not my favorite, but it's okay. It's but the first episode, it's just establishing kind of things now.
Well, there was a little bit of like, I guess, shock, but it wasn't really that much. But like, you're like, they wouldn't do that, would they? And you're like, oh no, I guess they would, kind of a thing.
They're still not holding back.
Yeah.
I
So
don't wanna do spoilers since it just
I'm
aired
not going
last
to. I'm
night.
just saying. But then it's weird to have. I thought also to have, like, I guess maybe they were wrapping up stuff from the last season, and then that thing happens, and then it's like the dramatic setup for, like, and from now on it's gonna be this. You know what I mean? But then we didn't really get to spend any time there.
So last season, this is slight spoilers, I guess, if you didn't watch last season, but, like, potentially there's, like, 100 Chucky dolls being shipped out to the world, right? So this season kind of had to, like, more or less put the brakes on it a little bit, like, because really, like, how are they gonna, with any type of, like,
Yeah. How do you put
budget
that genie back in the
approach?
bottle?
Yeah. So they kind of like they do a little thing, and it's not a terrible thing, but like they do a little thing to kind of step that back slightly. Just
Like, whoa, Russell
whoa,
T
whoa,
Davies, come on. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
right.
The entire Dalek Empire? Come on.
So that's good for a cliffhanger, but we have to continue the show. The entire Dalek Empire.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I mean, I'm still super excited for it though. So because it's a fun show, and I appreciate that we're well into Chucky properties where it doesn't have to pretend like.
Oh no, it's the end.
I don't know if that's coming, how well that's coming through the mic, but
I can hear it a little.
okay. We live next to a volunteer fire station, and if you live in smaller towns, you know, when they need people, they put the alarm on, and so the alarm's going. There's been times where I think they just like triggered it, and it didn't do like the woo up and down. It was just like woo for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, God, no.
I don't know if it broke or if they were in such a hurry. They're just like, trigger it and get out. Let's go. Which is fair. You know, I don't want them to be concerned. I don't want them to be like coming to rescue me and be like, did we leave the stove on? And the like, you know, did we leave the horn going? Chucky. I like that we're to the point where it's just like, we don't have to play around with like, Chucky doll. Like, is it Chucky? As soon as he shows up, he's just like, "Hey, effers," you know, and just like into it, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, this is Chucky. This is what we're doing. They're not going to waste any time."
Yeah, but you still kind of have to assume every doll is a Chucky doll, just in case, you know.
Right. There is, and like I guess it's not a spoiler. I feel like it's in the, at least it was in the thumbnail when I went to watch it. There is a Tiffany doll from Seed of Chucky that was supposed to be like the Bride of Chucky movie they were making in Seed. Anyway, whatever. There's a doll that's like it's not quite a Tiffany doll, but it's like supposed to be whatever. There's a doll in there that I was like, that's interesting. Like they pull, I just like whatever how much they pull from just random little things from the franchise.
Mm-hmm. It was the doll that Tiffany used, I think. They used to put Tiffany into whatever that doll was like a, you know, something marriage doll, I think, and that's the doll that they have.
Right, that one shows up, and there hasn't really been an explanation for that, so I feel like that's gonna go somewhere at some point. Moving on, shows we haven't watched yet, but I'm super excited for because it's October. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities is coming to Netflix towards the end of the month, and there's a trailer out for that. It's like an anthology type thing, which could be hit or miss, but this looks really good. The trailer's super solid.
It did look really good. I'm excited for it.
And then
very stylized. Each episode,
yeah. Watching the trailer, Melanie pointed out like you can tell segments from different episodes because they're all stylized but in their own ways, which is great, as opposed to like you think about the Tales from the Crypt series where it's like you see it and you're like, okay, that looks like Tales from the Crypt. There's the like campy Dutch angles and stuff, but every episode's had that look, as opposed to this where it appears as every episode or every story has distinctly its own look, which is cool. And the Midnight Club, I'm very curious about Mike Flanagan involved. I don't think he's necessarily was as involved as in like Midnight Mass, but Midnight Club, based on Christopher Pike book. If you were, I guess, a young adult horror reading person in the 90s, maybe. I don't know when Christopher Pike was big. I feel like 90s.
That sounds right.
Probably Mike Flanagan, about our age too. So I've never read any Christopher Pike, so I don't know.
Me either.
He seemed like I associate it as like the R.L. Stine for people who like outgrew Goosebumps. You know, they went to like Christopher Pike before going to like, I don't know, Stephen King and I don't know, other horror authors.
They did it wrong. You just got to start with Stephen King.
With Dean Koontz, Clive Barker.
Clive Barker. Yeah, Clive Barker. There you
He
go.
wrote things, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And his one movie directorial outing fared much better than Stephen King's one movie directorial outing. Because
Stephen King directed one of his movies.
yeah,
Which one?
the best one. Can you guess which one?
No.
Okay, which one do you think was the most coke fueled?
Maximum Overdrive.
Yes.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one movie he's directed was Maximum Overdrive.
Of course it was.
Whereas Clive Barker, and this is a nice segue into another thing I'm looking forward to kind of this month. Clive Barker directed, actually I think he directed more than one movie actually. He did a couple movies. But his first movie was Hellraiser, which is amazing. And the best of the Hellraiser movies.
Right.
Speaking
Yeah.
of Hellraiser,
Oh, yeah?
on Hulu, the new Hellraiser movie reboot, I guess.
Is it out or it's coming?
It's coming. I keep
Right.
I can't remember what the date is. I keep looking it up because I'm like, when is that happening? I'm very curious about it. And I see headlines of reviews, and they're very like most are very positive. There's been a couple where it's not so much, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, I try not to put too much stock in that anyway, but like the reviews are kind of back and forth, so it's like, oh, it could be anything. Who knows? The trailer, I'm not super excited about the trailer, but I'm curious about the movie. How about you, viewers? Are you guys excited for some Hellraiser?
You're raising some hell.
It looks. I mean, I've seen the first like 4 movies, and I like the first one was the best one, but I like the second one too, and the other ones are not so much. But it looks like it's going back to. Well, I haven't seen past it, so I don't know what the other ones look like. But it looks kind of like the second one to me, more than anything else, and that's okay if it's that because I liked that one, but. If the other ones are like that too and they're all crap, then I don't know.
Well, from what I understand, and this is interesting, and it makes me, I've never read the original, like, Hellbound Heart is the story the original was based on, and this is another telling of that. But it does not seem like at all the original movie, you know, from what we've seen in the trailer. It seems wildly different. So, you know, I don't know how accurate the original movie was to the story, or if Clive Barker just, because the original is like that weird twisted love story kind of thing. Like that's what's so fascinating to me about it is there's Cenobites and stuff, but essentially it's about this weird guy growing out of the floor and his past love triangle relationship with his brother's wife, and that's like the movie.
Yeah.
And there's also Cenobites, so
Right.
This seems like they're Cenobites. So I don't know what angle they're taking.
They look like they were trying to be sexy Cenobites though, so that's, you know, the pleasure pain stuff, you know.
Right.
Because Hellraiser's pervy, man, it really is.
Yeah. And there's other stuff coming out this month that I'm excited for, but I can't remember what it is offhand. It's obviously not that important. We watched, hey, speaking of Fox movies that got acquired by Disney, which we had mentioned briefly like 20 minutes ago, The Empty Man. We've watched a few movies, including The Empty Man. And this was an interesting one because this was a movie that it was like one of the final Fox movies, right? Before the acquisition, however that worked out with Disney. So Disney acquired it. But apparently there was a lot of production issues beforehand where like it was one of those whatever production hell kind of stories where like the executive that was like really on board with this movie left while the movie was being made, so it kind of left in a place where none of the executives were like, what's this? We don't care about it. Apparently, their early test screenings had horrible reviews, so they were going to from the test audience where they were going to change something, which I totally understand. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but like this is another reason why it's fascinating to me. But it's not a mainstream friendly ending at all,
No,
or like
it's not.
overall premise. But then Disney got it, and they're like, we don't know what to do with this thing, with this turd or whatever, and they just like dumped it to where I think it went to streaming, but like never hit DVD. You couldn't get it anywhere. It went like to rent without like any real like advertisement. After watching this, I was like, I do remember a trailer for this and it not looking good. After watching this, I checked out the trailer. I was like, no wonder it flopped. Well, it was on HBO Max. It's not on there now, but it was on there like a week or two ago. So I made a point to watch it because I had heard all this stuff about the backstory and how it just kind of got dumped on streaming and like no marketing, but was actually really good. And I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I liked it also. I can see that a lot of people wouldn't though, but we like cosmic horror,
Yeah.
existential
Yeah.
weird stuff. That's our jam. So for us it was good, but I can see why mainstream people wouldn't necessarily like it.
It is 100% it's like a cosmic horror, mind-bending, existential crisis movie, like horror movie, that was so clearly like wrapped and presented to the studio as this is a teen urban legend movie, because there's this like urban legend aspect, the Empty Man, which is like, if you think about, obviously inspired by like the Slender Man, or what are some of those other recent ones that were just not good? I don't know, the whatever man, the Empty Man, right? And it's just like
Salad Fingers.
Salad Fingers is a treasure. It's the David Lynch of the
Internet, of the
world.
early internet flash videos.
David Lynch of the
Yes.
early internet flash videos. And yes, I know David Lynch did animation sometimes too. I stand by what I say. But so there's like this premise of like the Empty Man. If you blow on a bottle, if you find an empty bottle at a bridge and blow on the bottle, and then you'll hear him. And then the first night you'll hear him, and the second night you'll see him, and the third night he gets you, or some crap like that, right? Like it's totally like this teen cheesy premise. It's such a MacGuffin. Like, I'm sorry, it's not a total MacGuffin. Like, it plays into the premise, the whole plot and everything. But like, if you watch the trailer, the official trailer, that's the movie you're expecting.
Right.
And then you watch the movie, and it's got like that becomes like, that's a plot thread that kind of doesn't even tie very well into the actual thing. And so I feel like it was 100% like, we got this idea, and they're like, well, we really want, what we want is, teen urban, we want Slender Man. They're like, yeah, that's what this is. Buy the script. I'll direct it.
Right.
And so then naturally, I'm not surprised that all the execs that come across this at both Fox and then later at Disney were like, what do we do with this?
Well, the thing, and one of the things that I like about it is, it felt like 4 different movies, or maybe even 5, in one movie. Because like I didn't really know anything about it. In the beginning, I was like, okay, this thing is going on, and then like 20 minutes in or something, then it's like, nope, that was a misdirect kind of, and now it's title card, and now the movie starts. And I was like, what? And then it was completely different. Then it was the teen thing, with the, like he was just talking about, the urban legend. And then it changes into at least 2 other type things before it gets to the end.
And it doesn't necessarily feel disjointed, except for that first part. The opening, like 20 minutes, is great. It's like such a good opener, because you're like, oh, this is really good. Wow, where's this gonna go? And then it's like, I I hate to even say this much. Then it's like, no, forget all those people. Title card, the movie's starting. It's like, what was all that? And it ties into it, but it's such a strong opening, and then suddenly we're like literally not even in the same country, the same time of year. It's just this whole other thing starts, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, that seems completely unrelated, really.
It does seem unrelated. It's not. It ties back into the actual plot, but it's not an amazing movie, but I appreciated what it was doing. And in terms of like mindbender movies and mindbender endings, it works, but not 100%. Like it's a little clunky. Like there's still, after you find out what the deal is, you're kind of like, yeah, but what about like this and this don't make sense. But I'll roll with it, man. I'm fine with it. The Empty Man. I think you can only rent it now. I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere, but
And it might be because we work with a lot of coaches in our podcast stuff, but they use so many terms in this too that apply to, like, you have to have the right mindset, and you have to, what is it called? Make it materialize.
Manifest it.
Manifest it. That's exactly
yeah,
it. Manifest
that's the
it.
word.
1,000%. Like it's, yeah, I feel like you can kind of see where maybe little ideas of whoever wrote this. I don't offhand know. Where they picked their, like, they've heard all of it, and they're just like, but what if this weird dark angle to that whole nonsense? Like, yeah. At one point, there's like this like weird shadowy woo-woo mindset organization gets like introduced, and you're like, what is this? What's happening?
Oh no, the secret is a pyramid scheme of darkness.
Yeah.
And it really, it's
pretty much.
it's worth checking out if any of this is intriguing to you, what we've been saying.
Watch it, people, if anybody is listening.
Like I said, like, don't expect it to 100% stick the landing, but the landing is like, I kind of seen it coming at a certain point, but it's still like far enough out there that I appreciated it, even if it doesn't 100%.
It's still in another country than from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
What even is?
Right.
Jesse, before we prattle on to our next movies, anything else you check out that you want to talk about?
Really just the same stuff I've been watching. So like, She-Hulk. We didn't talk about Game of Thrones yet.
Oh, right.
And then Rings of Power I'm all caught up on too, which is, it's good. It's very Lord of the Ringsy, which is exactly what you want in a Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about it. At one point, Amazon had some fantasy show based on some popular fantasy novel or series, and we checked out it. Yeah, I know it's not fair to.
Oh, Wheel of Time or whatever.
Yeah, it was something. I don't know. We watched the first step. Yeah, that might have been it, and it just wasn't grabbing me.
Right.
So I kind of bounced out of there. But that's a thing I enjoy visiting sometimes. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
know
do
what?
like it. What?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do like it when it has teeth, though. Game of Thrones
Right.
and Witcher are good. They have teeth, and I know that's not necessarily a Lord of the Ringsy tone, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
It doesn't matter. Disregard.
It matters.
Ignore me.
Okay.
So Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
I'm trying to remember what happened.
Incest.
Oh, yeah, that's right. A lot of that. At a funeral, no less.
Yeah.
This was a weird episode, but also, like, beautifully shot and so weird.
There were interesting, and this is there were complaints that it was
Weird.
that were weird complaints on the internet.
Huh.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
that it was too dark. There were complaints that it was too dark.
Oh.
People complained to HBO on Twitter, of course, about it.
Wait.
Like it was shot too dark?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was gonna ask.
Literally, they couldn't see it?
Yeah. And
That was kind of the point of that scene in particular, but...
right. Well, and
Yeah.
I see where they're because the HBO Max app was glitching out on us that night. And you know,
Oh,
when you start a thing, it'll have kind of like an overlay, slightly darker tint, and then the text or whatever. And it was seriously like glitching out to where you could see like the overlay was up way too long, but then like a block of it, just like a little chunk of it would disappear, and then a little chunk, and then
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the text. Like it was really bad.
Yeah, I've seen that before too, yeah.
So when it gets like later in the day or towards the night in the episode,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's mostly through post processing and color correction that they did the like, it's almost day for night, right? But they made it
Right.
like, I don't know if it's super low contrast, but they definitely brought the brightness way down. But it was a very specific look, and they were going for. But yeah, for a while I was like not convinced that it wasn't the overlay still stuck on or something glitched out.
Oh, no, yeah.
And
Yeah,
Melanie,
I commented on it too, yeah, because I'm like, it looks like it should be brighter. Like everything, the whole scene looks like it's meant to be brighter, but it's too dark right now.
it was artificially dark.
Yes,
Right.
you could tell.
And so I think, and it was intentional, but I think that's specifically what people were complaining about. I didn't have a hard time seeing, like, I could see it fine on my TV, and I don't know, do people watch stuff on their phones all the time? Because phone screens are super bright, but anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I can see it fine. It's just, I didn't know if it was a glitch. So,
Right.
but yeah, people were complaining about that.
And it doesn't matter if it takes you out of it because it doesn't look real, then it's not good.
That's
Basically.
true.
I mean, if a child lost an eye and there was like incest happening in this episode and drunkenness at a funeral and that's what you were mad about. Okay.
Wait, you mean there's more important things to talk about with this episode than
There was a lot happening in this episode.
The
Yeah.
color grading was a little.
We almost saw at least 3 children die.
Yeah.
That was pretty intense. Also, for me, it was a roller coaster ride with that kid because I was like, oh, I thought he was going to be like the nice kid of the.
You
of
would
the
think.
two.
You would
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They kind of set him up like he didn't seem like a bad kid.
Right.
So that when he's gonna like, sounds, Matty T he says, hey, he says, sounds like a Nebraska funeral. Hey,
Oh, hey-oh.
that's a weird word.
Not any funeral I've ever been to, but, you know. We're not stealing people's dragons in the dead of night, Matty D.
Nope.
So there was a lot of tension there with that because you're like, it's still Game of Thrones. They could kill a child. they don't care.
That's true, yeah. They ain't afraid of no death, infanticide.
Right.
Right.
But no. But then it turns out the kid's kind of a jerk anyway. So it's-
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is a
He's
jerk.
like,
I mean, I understand he wants a dragon or whatever, but he, like several other people in the episode, are super disrespectful. This is somebody's funeral, you know? You don't go
Right.
doing that stuff. I don't know, yeah. I would, if I were the king or the queen, what the queen's biased, but if I were one of the people in charge, I would have been like, okay, let's address first that he just did that right now. And that in itself is something he should be punished for, I think.
right.
Regardless of all the other stuff that happened because of it, you know? And they don't even talk about it, so,
right. It's like, oh, yep. That's your dragon.
yeah.
the
You
episode-
no, never mind. You just stole my son's dragon, or my daughter's dragon, my granddaughter's now potential dragon. You just stole a dragon in the middle of the night, but it's yours now.
You stole that little girl's mom's,
Yeah,
her mom's
dead mom.
dragon at her funeral. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
in
yeah.
the heck?
Yeah.
But then again, what's his butt committed incest at his wife's funeral, so,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, I guess if that's the family you come from, maybe
I mean,
stealing dragons
technically,
not that
his
big of a
wife
deal.
was also like when he was married to his wife. That was also incest. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're cousins.
Yeah, it's all
whatever.
incest up in there. And I don't understand why earlier in the season they made a big deal about it, about, oh, it's incest. And then not only were, did the things happen that happened toward the end, but they were talking about the king, the boy that's supposed to be king or whatever, or they want to be king, the mom, marrying his sister. And I'm like, okay, so that's okay, and you're fine with that. He can marry his sister or something like that, but she can't marry her uncle? That's weird.
Her uncle is disrespectful, though.
Well, that is true.
It doesn't
He is
really,
that. That Matt Smith, he is just rude.
It doesn't really. I think more than anything, well, part of it being the king's brother and the king's daughter, he's probably was upset about that,
Right.
as you probably should be. But
Yeah.
also, they didn't stand to gain anything from like marrying her to him, really, as opposed to like because.
Well, yeah, they could have. In the beginning, though, the fight I thought was about him naming either his daughter or his brother as his heir because he wasn't married again yet and didn't have any boys. So I thought they were trying to solve that problem first. If they got married, then it doesn't matter because either one of them could be ruler.
Well, and I think then also, the king was like, "No, you're if anything, maybe like, I didn't name you heir for a reason." Like
That's true.
Yeah. This episode was interesting because it was like really backloaded. The opening, the first chunk of it was interesting enough, but there was a lot of it where I was like, wow, for a show that'll just like randomly jump 10 years between episodes, like there's just not much happening. But then they backloaded it with like, okay, here's some progress. Here's a whole bunch of like, I don't know, some more.
A lot of plot twists. Like, yeah, at the end, it was just like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like
And it was getting you to know the younger characters more.
Yeah.
Which was needed.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Especially if the show is going to continue, like, if they are looking at the, like, generational scope. It's good to,
Yeah.
introduce these characters before they get killed off on, like, some other characters that just,
Right.
hey,
Right.
here's a character, they're dead now.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was actually kind of a lot of character stuff, which is
Yeah.
been my main complaint so far. Is like I want more character stuff, and that's a lot of what this episode was.
And even though almost everybody died, nobody that we knew actually died. Even the one we thought died didn't die.
Mm-hmm. So somebody died, but
Somebody died.
he was just a rando, so we don't care.
Yeah,
felt
yeah,
wretched.
right.
That was nice that they did that.
Yeah.
Not for the rando. But,
Not for that rando,
No,
no. He died in probably the most horrible way they could come up with.
but he was a nameless.
Yeah. They don't have feelings.
Let's attempt to get the young character some background and gravitas before killing them off like a cow in a meat market. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun fact about Westeros. They have a lot of those cows.
Yep. Just
And meat markets.
I think
And
it would be-
gravitas. Yeah.
I think it would be more fun if instead of like somebody's passed away and their dragon is just like, okay, who's next? They should all like go crazy and be like mournful beasts going wild all over the place.
That's what I thought was going to happen for a
That's what should
second.
happen.
Yeah, I was just like, what happens when this happens? Like, does the dragon move on or just kill everyone? Or just fall asleep and never wake up?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of like takes a little of the weight out of the episode before, where they're like, when a dragon doesn't listen
Right.
to anybody until it listens to one person, then it will only ever listen to that one person. Well, that's clearly crap.
Right.
Any old kid can walk up and take control of your dragon after you're gone.
Yeah.
These blonde-haired, blue-eyed whatevers come in from the north. Wait, these Vikings?
Right.
Maybe I'm a bad person, but I almost kind of, even when I thought he was still good, I almost kind of wished the dragon would have just torched him, because I'm like, you should not be sneaking up in there like that. You bad
No,
boy.
come on.
Right.
That's asking for it right there.
His dragon's like, so what? You know my name. Boom.
I like also, especially after the last episode, where they obviously made the queen much more of an aggressive character, but like the character of the princess, who we thought was going to be like an aggressive character, kind of seemed very passive. So I like that they're at least like pulling her character away from that into like trying to take power instead of just like I don't know, raising her kids and being okay with how things are going. I don't know, whatever.
I don't think that she was ever not a powerful character. I just think that she seems unsure of how to like play the politics necessarily.
No worries about the caps, Maddie D. No, yeah, I think you're right. And that's also, I mean, I guess it kind of sucks that she feels like she needs to be dependent on her uncle, but that's also, I guess, in that case, being smart in that, like, this guy kind of knows what he's doing, although he's really chaotic evil. He's just whatever he wants. It doesn't matter. He's such a weird character.
Right.
He just saunters in there, watches all these kids. The one kid just lost an eye, and he's just kind of smirking the whole time, like, this is entertaining. You could practically be eating popcorn in the corner.
So that I think that's my favorite part of this whole episode. That whole scene was pretty good, where they're like, finally, like, kind of something snaps in there, and people are at each other's throats a little bit. But there were a few very brief shots where it would cut to him observing, and it's not enough to be a smile, but enough to know, like, he is eating this up. Like, he's got a smirk. I love just, like, how he's a hard character for me to nail down, but he seems like Matt Smith has him very well defined in his mind.
Oh, yeah.
And the writers know exactly who this character is, because that seemed right on point. So, yeah.
I think I said to Holly, I was like, that guy was the doctor.
Right. Just, I mean, the doctor could be a little evil sometimes.
Yeah.
He kind of is he's a darker reflection of the doctor typically, where he's like, I don't know, man. He's a madman on a dragon.
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't used the dragons more this season so far. Because there's more of them. You'd think they'd want to highlight that there's so many, because in the future past for us, they
There
only
are,
had
like,
like
none.
the 3, and that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I was gonna say dragons are expensive, and I guarantee those, like, they've had a couple of really good, 2 or maybe 3 sequences now of, like, riding on the backs of dragons, like,
Right.
fairly long sequences that I know cost some money for sure. I know it's all like CG, but it's not cheap CG.
That's another thing. That kid should have died. He should have fallen off of that thing.
Really,
There's
he
no
really
way
should
he
have,
held on
yeah.
to that. No
Right.
way.
But so I know, like, the dragons, that cost money, but you're right though. You don't get a sense that there's really that many dragons. So I don't know.
But they have like a fleet of them right now, I think. Sort of.
Right. Maybe they're saving that though. They're like, no, you can't
Yeah,
show
I
all the
suppose.
dragons. That's the dragon shot. You save that
Yeah.
for the end.
They can't put all their eggs in one fiery basket.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think we should probably wrap up soon. I don't want to go too far into some of the other stuff we watched. Maybe I'll hold on those movies in case we don't watch a whole lot else, and we'll talk about them next week. Because we also watched The Night House, and we're all going to the World Zoo. No, the World Fair. And
Yeah.
I have things to say about that, but I feel like we kind of said it already. It's just we weren't streaming yet.
Right. Yeah.
Maddie D, so is it just me, or has every modern doctor moved on to be a bad guy? No, that's absolutely true. Tennant, I believe, I don't know if he's currently playing. I think has a series that's doing very well in which he's kind of a bad guy.
Well, he was
Even if-
what's his name? Kilgrave in
Yeah.
the Purple Man. Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yep.
He was the demon in what's that one called? Good Omens. Yeah.
But that he was a good guy though. Just because you're a demon doesn't
Sort
mean you're a
of,
bad guy.
sort of. But I mean, like, he starts out as a straight up demon, so.
He's in a series right now. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. That's I see it in the news a lot, so it's getting like a lot of coverage. Like it's supposed to be very good, and I think he might be kind of a bad guy in that. Capaldi, oh, what is the name of that show? Was supposed to be. It's kind of like a not horror necessarily or sci-fi, but he's some type of like evil character, and I feel like it looked
He
like
was
some
in-
type of procedural.
In Suicide
mixed-
Squad, too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
That's true. Underused.
Yeah.
Give us more spark plug head Capaldi.
Well,
Spark Capaldi.
Capaldi's, I think, seems like better at being a bad guy anyway, or he would be at least a butthole, if not, a bad guy.
Inside Man. Inside Man is a series he was just involved with that I think just wrapped or something.
So what about 9? Was he a bad guy in something? I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, he
Eccleston. He was
Yeah.
Dark Elf in Thor 2. And he was just kind of
Oh.
a jerk and other stuff.
was everything regardless the character. He just has that air in Doctor Who. No, he just has that air of intensity. I feel like he is also popping up in something else, but maybe I just keep seeing his name related to the audios, so I don't know. Yeah.
So.
There were other shows. The Baby.
Oh yeah.
Baby. We
Baby.
watched The Baby.
That's the name of a thing, huh?
It is.
Yes.
The Baby.
The Baby. It
Okay.
is a,
Dark comedy.
I guess, dark comedy horror thing.
Yeah.
It's dark comedy in that it's not necessarily all that funny, but it is like it's the tone of it, right? Like
Yeah.
the attitude of the show itself. But Holly should never watch this,
No.
and anyone who has trouble with
Oh, no.
violence around or involving children and or babies should definitely not watch it.
Right.
This is a series on HBO Max. It's definitely a one and done season type series.
Because Discovery owns it now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, and if they have like the leanings, the conservative leanings, I don't see this kind of story continuing on anyway. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was good. It definitely has some shocking moments. And it's a pretty, I think it's 6, 7 episodes. It's a pretty quick show to get through. And they're
Can
not.
we give the premise without giving it the show?
Yeah, I think you can give the basic premise is
This woman happens upon a baby. It falls literally into her arms from above, and the baby has some abilities, and people around him pass away a lot, all the time. And it's, the lady doesn't want a kid, but she doesn't want to leave this baby, alone and stranded. But then, she's like, it's maybe trying to kill everybody. So that's it. That's the movie. And shenanigans ensue.
yeah, evil baby. You lashes onto you. You can't really get away from it. That's the show.
No. Yeah.
And anybody it doesn't like, or pretty much anybody else that's not you around it, will die. So
Yep. Pretty much.
So you're saying childcare really is expensive?
yeah.
Yeah. It might be kind of almost an anti-kid type thing too. Not necessarily, but there's a lot of them comparing regular being a mother with this also, where they're like, you never sleep, you don't have any time to yourself, you lose all your friends, that theme
Yeah.
comes up over and over too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It was pretty on the nose, like about that. Now that you mentioned.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it's anti-kids though.
Yeah, maybe it's about people need to accept that it's not gonna always be happy and fun to have kids. Maybe that's what it's more about. I don't know.
Maddie asks if the baby's mother was trying to get rid of it by throwing it off the cliff. No,
No.
no, no. The backstory, and they save it for kind of late into the series, so I don't want to go too far into it. But like, I guess the origin of this baby is interesting, and is part of the reason you're like, well, what is this? It's just like an Antichrist situation, or what is this deal with the baby? And they kind of more or less like they give you the whole backstory of where the baby comes from eventually, and it's an interesting idea. It is definitely like
It's not the same baby though.
the actor
Is the baby potentially like Superman, but maybe a wasp Superman?
No.
Wasp Superman.
Brightburn.
Maddie D.
Oh right, the insect angle. I
Yeah,
forgot
the
about
insect
that.
angle that was so
Right.
creepy and cool, and they never did anything with
And
it.
underused. Yeah.
Maddie D. It might have been this though, because the beginning of the episode, someone does try to maybe throw the baby off a cliff. Kinda, but not exactly. That's not really what happens.
That might have been the intention, her intention, but
But that's not really what happened exactly.
right. So it's British, so it has that like particular dark, slightly dry humor. That's makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, whatever. Lots of themes about unwanted, not wanting kids and unwanted kids, and
And dealing with parents that didn't want you, maybe.
yeah, and lesbians. There's
Oh,
like
yeah.
there
Well.
are certain themes that are very strong throughout the whole thing that
Yeah.
become more clear as it goes on. So yeah, it seemed unique. It was a unique type of thing, I thought.
And it's just the idea of it is very fun. Like, wandering around with a baby and you're like, stay away. Don't come near us. The baby will hurt you.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
how old is he? You dying.
Yeah, it's kind of like Rosemary's Baby, if only instead of like everyone around her being like gaslighting her, it's the baby itself gaslighting her. Like, it's like a weird inversion of that in a way. And gaslighting everyone. Anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we watched that I would recommend if you're not totally turned off by some of the things we've said.
Yes.
If you are, don't watch it.
Yeah. But it was hilarious, I thought.
Was that
Hilarious.
scene from The Mandalorian? I want to see the baby.
Yeah. Actually, there kind of was a couple people that were like, I want to see the baby. Silly people.
Man, it was. I wouldn't quite call it amazing, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you watched Brand New Cherry Flavor, but it had that kind of a feel to it to me. It wasn't anything like that, but it had the same attitude, maybe.
Right, where it's like it's dark and kind of disturbing if it took itself more seriously.
Yeah. But everybody's just so casual about it that it's not.
Right, right. I mean, okay, that's a slight. It's not a spoiler, but I will say like that is part of like the interesting but also confounding thing about it is, and it's played as like, well, that's kind of part of the baby's power. Is like she shows up with a baby, and she's someone that like obviously doesn't want a baby, and everybody's just like,
And
yeah,
this
that's your
happens
baby.
This happens in real life occasionally, but she is a person of color and the baby is not. And everybody's just like, "Oh, your baby is so cute." And I'm like, "Okay. I mean, that's nice and that's good because you don't know anybody's situation, but I'm surprised they didn't have more people being like, "That's your baby?" You know what I mean?
One character mentions it.
Huh?
Yeah, one character mentions it, but
Yeah.
well, because I think that plays more into like like some of the like the closer the people are to her, the the less surprised, the more a character should be surprised that she suddenly has a baby, the less surprised they are. They're just like,
Right.
oh yeah, you have a baby. Why are you being so selfish? Blah blah blah. Our personal
Right.
drama. Ignore
Yeah.
this baby that you suddenly have out of nowhere, and you're acting weird because people keep dying. Let's talk about our emotions. Like it's such
Yeah,
a weird
yeah,
like thing. Yeah. That's the tone of it. It's just like, anyway. We've gone
That
on
baby's
too long.
freaking cute. He's got some cute little faces. Ugh. Okay.
Let's go on. Hey,
I was to say the ironic part is earlier on, Randy totally teed up a softball, amazing segue, and Melanie totally missed it.
because she was on.
I wouldn't say it was amazing, and we actually kept talking about the movie.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Hey, not every segue.
No, I thought it was funny because he was about to hit like an over the top, like amazing.
It's rare that someone who's not me has a lot more, like keeps the like conversation going. Normally, I'm like, I'm the one who's like, and then also this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that reminds me of Doctor Who. 20
Right.
minutes later.
Okay, so for today's amazement, this is really amazing. I don't know if it's real though, and nobody does. I don't think, but I have to talk about it. So, a good source, usually, but even they were like, if this video is real, and that's the whole thing. It's a video that somebody
right.
bought off of somebody, and they're like, if this video is real, that's freaking amazing. But is it? We don't know. But it's a video, and it looks real. But today, with technology, who knows? But it's got two bees unscrewing the cap of a soda bottle,
I'm
like
pretty
working
sure it
together
is real.
and
It looks
unscrewing.
legit.
I don't know.
And it said the video's from like 2001 or something. So the video apparently has been floating around for a bit. But it doesn't
And
look
they
like.
they know where it came from. It came from. They know like the woman it came from and when and where and all. They know the situation, but that doesn't mean that it's true. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I'm just saying from my observation of the video, it looks totally legit. Because it's not like. I don't have a bottle here handy, actually. It's not like. It doesn't. At least where the video picks up, it doesn't look like the cap was like super tight on there. Because two bees aren't going to have the strength. It's kind of loose.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger point of it is. I'll go ahead. The bigger point of it is like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just trying to throw. I didn't want to overtake your segment. I was just trying to throw it back to you. It showed two bees coordinating in an intelligent manner to achieve this thing, which is not something you commonly see in insects. I mean, outside of like, I guess ants and stuff, like hive mindy type things almost.
Yeah,
but
But the thing is, it's not just that they're like pre-planning cooperation. It's that this is not. It's a complex task that they do not perform in nature, and they're doing it together. And that's crazy. So if it is real, and I assume it is, I guess that's nuts. And it has a lot to do with animals being way more intelligent than we give them credit for. Animals and insects. But I already knew that. We all already know that animals are way smarter than we give them credit for.
yeah, no, we just gotta like. That's so we don't feel horrible by the way that people commonly treat a lot of animals.
That's true.
Well, not to, and I don't want to play it here because it's clearly a video clip that's been bought by some like company who buys viral clips, and those companies buy those clips so that they can content ID and sue the crap out of anybody.
I was gonna say so they
share
can
these
shut
viral
people like us down.
things. Which is so like antithetical to like if.
But we can put a
antithetical
link.
to things being viral anyway. Oh yeah, we can link it.
Yeah. Otherwise, laughing Chewbacca lady doesn't get to go to Comic-Con anymore. Mm-hmm. The Chewbacca mask lady, you remember her?
Right.
She just thought that was the greatest.
Right.
You don't. Do you want to live in a world without laughing Chewbacca mask lady? I don't.
No one does.
Yeah. Another thing real quick. Another thing that makes me think more so that it might be legit, maybe, is that I've actually seen. This is like the third or fourth time I've seen this story, and before I was always like, I don't know about that. But then, like I said, this time it was from a source that is almost always factual. And again, they said if it's true, but we can't for 100% be sure. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not just gonna. I'm not saying you should or should not believe the video. I'm just saying, to my eyes, it looked pretty legit. Just by like knowing what is capable with effects and like just that is clearly a handheld. Like it just didn't look fake. But who knows?
there's more proof that that exists than some other things that a lot of people believe in.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yes. Birds are robots.
Birds aren't real. Let's get it right. Birds aren't real.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
But maybe they're robots, though.
Well, I mean, that's because they're not real.
And They Live is a documentary.
Right.
Okay.
We don't believe that.
No, we don't.
I don't.
They
like
do
that.
charge on power lines. Thank you, Matty D.
Oh, Matty D's tied into it.
He knows. Yeah. We're doing our own research over here.
Yeah. Be an independent thinker. Wake up.
That's right. I'm not just gonna listen to lamestream media's opinions on birds, man.
Oh no.
Yeah, science. Like that, you know what they're talking about.
Right. Hollow bones. What's more realistic? Hollow bones or that they're
hollow
maybe charging up on power lines?
Yeah.
I know what's in the power lines. I don't know what's inside of birds.
Okay. As far as conspiracy, the bird thing is so ridiculous, but within that scope, charging on power lines is brilliant. That's such
Yeah.
a good
Yeah, it is.
connection.
Yeah.
The problem is that's one of those conspiracy theories where whoever started that, you know, they weren't serious, or if they
No.
were, like, they probably aren't that fun to hang around with. But that just seems like such a like, what if? Whoa, man! Whoa! What if?
Oh,
And then, like,
yeah.
continued to people who aren't stoners, and they somehow kept going. Hollow bones or hollow earth? What is more believable? If I still did episode titles, that's it.
I think they're related. Come on now. Who do you
Clearly.
think put?
That's
put the
probably where
robot
they
birds
came
there?
from. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly.
Lizard people.
What are they called?
Yeah.
We already know what they're called. They're in Doctor Who.
It's the
The lizard people from the center of the earth.
Slovene or no?
Yeah.
Slovene fart a lot.
No, yeah.
Oh
it's,
yeah, those are the aliens.
Yeah.
It's like the war. There was the one that was a lesbian for a while in like the 18th century or something like that.
Yeah, part of the
Yeah.
Poindexter
Whatever the.
clan. That's not what the,
Yeah.
The Poindexter clan, yeah. Silurians,
Silurians.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I was to say the Sea Devils are like a cousin
Yeah.
of the Silurians.
So yeah, that's who rules us. It's the Silurians and their robot birds.
Yeah. And they do live in a hollow earth, below, or at least below the earth,
You're right.
right?
Doctor Who confirmed it.
Yep.
That's why you never find the edge because they have it blocked off.
Of the
all-
flat earth? Of the
Yeah.
flat hollow earth? Man, we just, yeah. It's a good thing birds aren't real.
Along those
Yep.
lines, one more quick recommendation. Inside Man, Melanie dug it up and recommended it to me out of nowhere
Oh, yeah.
because I was looking for something to watch. And
Much
I'm
better
glad
than Hollow Man or Empty Man or whatever.
Empty Man. I don't know about
Oh,
that.
Hollow Man. Boy, that's another
Hollow
movie.
Man, that's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Inside Man, it's animated, like an adult animated like comedy show on which anymore. After years and years of Family Guy and how everything is just became a clone of that, isn't it kind of a turnoff to me? But I checked it out on Netflix. It's actually pretty good. It's got Christian Slater is a voice in it, and so that's usually fun. And it's all about basically like the people that run like the deep state, kind of. And it's totally like flavors of Futurama to it. It's that like wacky kind of sci-fi adult animated series, but it's a lot of like the Earth's not flat. It is hollow though. So like that kind of
Yeah,
like thing.
yeah.
Yeah. It plays on a lot of that.
And they do have lizard people.
yeah.
Or,
so
yeah, reptiles,
it-
I guess.
it's fun. Maddie D says, "Oh man, I got an idea for a new podcast, Conspiracy Nights. I'm not in. I'm out."
What, you don't want to be the host of Grawlix Illuminati?
Oh,
If that is a thing, somebody nenes to make it a thing. Oh.
no. That's coming next week, hosted by Maddie D, Melanie, and Jesse. Randy.
Illuminati confirmed.
Well, if this was the tone of it, yeah, that'd be fun. If it starts sounding too serious, I'm out.
Right.
I will not be associated with it, at least publicly. I'll probably have to still edit it.
But if I'm going to be on it, it will be. Because I'll be like, hey, now, there were 3 buildings that fell, okay? And then we'll have to start.
Well, didn't
'Cause-
you know the news reported on the one building before it even happened?
But and that's not. Let's just end the show now.
Yes, please, because I get off here and I have to edit something that sounds eerily similar to this.
Well, we can't let you
not
manifest that. No way.
No.
Ooh, that you've got the wrong mindset already.
I need to shift that mindset.
That's right.
You're right.
Shift it.
I do need to shift it. Stop being such an empty man. That's not quite right, though. Never mind. I don't want to get into spoilers. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie D, for tuning in. It's always a pleasure.
Always.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to see more or hear more, go to grawlixpodcast.com. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/grawlixpodcast and whatever.com/grawlixpodcast. That's not the
Yeah.
actual address. Just if you're wondering if we're there, just put Grawlix Podcast at the end. You'll find us.
Yeah.
Yep.
More than likely, we're there.
Yep.
We may have forgotten we're there, but we're there. We
Probably
snatched
haven't-
it up
We probably haven't updated it in
back when we thought Friendster was a real viable thing.
right. Right. I think there might be like a what was that? Not
A Tumblr? Do we have a Tumblr?
Oh,
I'm sure we do.
We have a Tumblr.
Oh,
it
yeah.
hasn't been touched in years, but we have
Right.
a Tumblr.
We have a Pinterest, I think.
We have.
We do. We used to do that. Wow.
Melanie once in a great while still adds stuff to
I
like
do.
the Batman.
Batman, yeah.
Yeah. The GD Batman Pinterest board, we have it.
That's right.
And
We've got a Spotify playlist somewhere.
we do. What
Yeah.
was there's some social network that like Zack Snyder was on, and that's like he's like the biggest person that was on it. I feel like it was his like he maybe had stake in it because he would always use it. Not Venmo, Vero or something.
Huh.
We had a Vero.
Oh, all right.
We don't have that one, Maddie.
No,
we don't
no.
have that one.
But we will.
I tell you what, just because of like recurring jokes, I think that stem from GCU maybe, or maybe it was here. If Jesse weren't a teacher, we would have some on like some of the adult sites just for fun. We'd have it.
Yeah.
There'd be like nothing there, or maybe we'd put up a regular episode, like deal with the angry comments from people looking for some other entertainment than what we offer.
Ooh.
But I figured it probably best not to even set those up. Just don't.
Yeah.
We don't need that tied to our names.
Nope. So go look for us. We're everywhere. Everywhere. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Look for us. Look to the bird.